Congratulations on the purchase of your new truck camper. The Atwood electric jacks, or manual crank jacks, that have been selected by your truck camper manufacturer are designed to provide years of convenience as you enjoy the great outdoors with your RV. As with any of the Atwood brand products, including water heaters, cooking appliances, furnaces, and gas sensors, your Atwood jacks are covered by a 2-year warranty. This DVD is designed to provide you with all the information you need to correctly load and unload the truck camper onto your pickup truck. We'll even demonstrate how to do it.
First, in the packet of owner's manual supplied by your camper manufacturer, find the manual for truck camper jacks. It will be titled as Installation, Operation, Maintenance Manual number 87903, entitled Acme and Ball Screw Truck Camper Jacks. It'll be helpful as it contains drawings and information that will be covered in this video, but in greater detail. Be sure to read the instructions thoroughly and keep these handy for easy reference when you travel.
Safety is always a primary concern when you're unloading and loading your camper. Here are some important tips before you begin.
A week or so prior to your camping trip, visually inspect each jack assembly and its mounting brackets to be certain that the jacks are not damaged and that the bolts and lag screws are securely fastened to the camper, brackets, and jacks. Rust runs may indicate a crack in the mounting brackets or that one or more bracket mounting screws have loosened. Be sure to contact your dealer or Atwood directly if you notice unusual noisy operation of a jack, the slip clutch ratchets, or there are grinding sounds. This indicates that the internal mechanism of the jack is not operating smoothly. If your camper is equipped with the Atwood electric jacks, the wireless remote control included uses a 9-volt battery. It's recommended that you have a spare battery on hand before loading or unloading your camper.
You know, it's always wise whenever you're operating the jacks on the camper or with the truck to have somebody help you, to kind of be a spotter. Well, I've got a pro to help me here, Steve Marisi, who is the West Coast sales manager for Atwood. Steve, it's important because kids could get in the way, all sorts of things could happen.
Sure, campgrounds are busy places and kids will follow balls and pets. So you want to make sure that there's no one anywhere between the truck and the camper, and a spotter can help, lining a truck, especially a dually, in between the jacks and properly under the truck camper.
And if you happen to be on your own, campers are really friendly. I'm sure somebody will pitch in and help you. Okay, now it's time for us to go through the proper procedures for loading the camper onto your truck. We're now going to take you through the quick 7-step process of loading your camper onto your pickup truck. To get started, you must first activate the system. If you have the Atwood electric jacks with the wireless remote control, you'll have to engage the activation switch to start, and you'll find it inside the camper. As a safety feature, the system will automatically turn off in approximately 10 minutes without use. This prevents someone from accidentally operating the system. Now, once we have the system on, the second step is extending the front jacks of the camper. And Steve will demonstrate for us how you'll want to extend the front jacks until the front of the camper is about 4 inches higher than the rear.
Yes.
Steve?
And that's important to do to keep the camper stable and so that it doesn't have an opportunity to tip. So we'll go ahead and extend the 2 front jacks, raise the front of the truck camper. And after we do that, we're going to extend all the jacks by using the center button. And we're going to raise the camper up so that it is 4 inches higher than the bed of the truck. The other thing that's important is to watch the front of the camper so that it's level from side to side.
Using the All Jacks Extend button, located in the middle of the remote, allows you to raise all 4 jacks at the same time. The size of your camper and the strength of your battery will determine if you can use this feature. This will save some time and will ensure that you maintain the 4-inch distance between the front and rear of the camper. If you don't have enough battery power, the motor will operate slowly and start pulsating. When this happens, you need to alternately raise the front and rear jacks until the floor of the camper clears the truck bed, always maintaining that important 4-inch difference between the front and rear of the camper. If your truck camper is equipped with the electric jacks without the wireless remote, the same basic ideas and safety rules apply. To extend the jacks, there are two switches located on the front and rear driver's side jacks. The front switch will control both of the camper's front jacks, and the rear switch will control both of the rear jacks. Finally, if your camper is equipped with the Atwood manual crank jacks, there's a slightly different process that must be followed. To extend your manual jacks, you must first properly insert the handle over the drive pin and shaft as shown in the picture. Atwood provides two handles with each set of manual crank jacks so that they can be operated individually or in pairs. If the manual jacks are operated in pairs, the process then becomes similar to using electric jacks. You extend the front jacks first, then the rear, alternating between the two sets until the desired height is reached. If you are extending the manual jacks individually, always start with the front two jacks, then move to the back two, remembering to keep the two sides even. Keep repeating the process until the desired height is reached. Remember, no matter what type of Atwood jacks you're using, the front must always stay 4 inches above the rear jacks. It's also important to take care in not overextending or over-retracting the jacks, which can be indicated by a clicking sound with the manual jacks or a ratcheting sound with the electric jacks. Once the jacks are extended to the correct height, the fourth step is leveling the camper. This requires standing in the front or rear of the camper to check the side-to-side level of the camper. Once level, you want to make sure you have enough clearance for your truck bed. The camper should be 4 inches higher than the height of the bed. Our truck height is 37 inches, so the camper height should be 41 inches from the floor of the camper to the ground. Having the camper too high above the pickup truck bed makes it much harder to gauge the location of the camper with respect to the truck, and having it too low can cause damage to your truck and camper. Step number 5 in the loading process is backing in the pickup truck. Once the camper is aligned with the truck, you can begin backing in. When doing this, you will want to visually align the floor of the camper between the wheel wells and the inside of the camper jacks. Your assistant or spotter can help guide you. As you start to back the truck in, stop the truck short about 2 feet from the front of the bed. This will allow you to plug in the 12-volt electrical cord for the taillights. Once that's complete, you can then finish backing in the truck fully under the camper.
Okay, that looks good. Our next step is going to be to lower the camper onto the bed of the truck, and we'll do that by retracting the jacks. Steve, you're going to do that with a remote control.
That's right, and we'll start at the rear of the camper.
Okay, Steve, I'll walk around back and watch as it levels.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and retract the rear jacks and lower the camper into the truck. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move forward because I've already seen that the wheel well of the truck is coming down, so I know I made contact properly in the rear, so I'm going to move to the front two jacks.
Once the camper is in the bed of the truck, you can engage the Retract All button until the jacks are fully retracted. It's also a good idea to walk around the camper throughout the lowering process to verify that it's descending evenly.
Our next step is going to be to tie down the camper onto the truck, but before we do that, we need to talk about the brackets that are on the jacks themselves because they need to be positioned properly.
Right. Yeah, these swing out brackets are designed to be used with a dually truck, and right now this jack is in its working position, and it's designed so that you can back a dually truck safely under the camper. So it's in the working position, and I want to show you how to stow it in the drive position. Okay, I'm pulling the jack down out of the upper set of notches, and then once it's free, I'm going to rotate it inward. And then I'm going to line the notch here and pull it down, and that's the travel notch right there. Okay, now that we've got the jack in the stowage position, it's time to use the tie downs and secure the camper to the truck.
Okay, here's one.
The camper manufacturers provide brackets located right under the camper, And it's a real good idea for you to read your camper manufacturer's recommendations and talk to your dealer to get the proper brackets to interface with the truck and the camper.
And let's not forget, there are 4 of these tie downs, one on each corner. Make sure that they're all secured.
That's correct.
And now that we have the camper secured on the truck, it's time for us to review some safety tips about loading your camper onto the truck.
The first and most important reminder is to always ensure that the front of the camper is 4 inches higher than the rear and that the camper is reasonably level from side to side. The second is not exceeding the rated capacity of the camper's gross vehicle weight rating. Thirdly, be sure to test your camper's turn signal and brake lights before driving away. And the final reminder is to make sure not to use the jacks for any other reason than raising or lowering the camper onto the truck. Never use the jacks to level the camper with truck and tie downs attached, and do not use the jacks for assistance in changing the truck's tire.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much for your help. And now let's move on to unloading the camper. Now that we've taken you through the process of loading your camper onto your pickup truck, we're going to take you through the steps to unload once you've reached your destination. When you get to your destination, make sure you've got solid ground, gravel, blacktop, or a concrete pad. Now, we've done that in this case, and we know we have good solid ground here. We've taken off the tie downs, and now Steve is going to tell us about the swing-out brackets.
Yes, the swing-out brackets have been in the stowed position, and we're going to rotate them outward, and we're going to line up the notches so that it'll be in the lifting position. I'm going to rotate the jack from the stowage position to the lifting position, and I'm going to use my remote control to line the notches. Now there's also a little stop pin that's right here, but what we're looking at is at the notches itself. And I'm already lined up, so I'll just finish it up and go all the way. There we go. Now it's in the working position.
I understand that some of the manufacturer's tolerances are pretty tight here. Do you have any tips?
Yes, I recommend using some silicone spray on the tube itself, and it does make the jack easier to rotate and to move in and out of the notches.
Excellent. Well, it's time for us right now to activate the remote control system.
If you have the electric jacks with wireless remote control, you will want to engage the activation switch inside the camper to start the system. As a safety feature, the system will automatically turn off in approximately 10 minutes without use. This prevents someone from accidentally operating the system.
Now Steve is going to show us how to properly extend the front jacks, moving on to the 4th step in our process.
This process is similar to loading the camper. You will want to first take the front jacks up approximately 4 inches, and then move on to the rear jacks to ensure that the camper doesn't become off balance. Again, it's important to remember that the front of the camper remains 4 inches above the rear throughout the unloading process. At this point, depending on the size of your camper and the strength of your battery, you can now press the All Jacks Extend button to raise the jacks to the appropriate height. This is similar to what we did when loading the camper. It's important to remember that if you don't have enough battery power, you will want to walk the camper up by repeating the process of extending your front jacks first and then the rear jacks until the floor of the camper clears the truck bed. Now that the camper has been lifted, we're ready to remove the truck. Drive the truck forward about 2 feet to allow room to unplug the electrical cord. Then proceed to slowly drive the truck forward until it has cleared the camper. The last step in the unloading process is to lower the camper so that it's easily accessible for entry and departure. You will want to begin by lowering the rear jacks 4 inches. You can then finish by engaging the All Jacks Retract button until the camper's rear is approximately 3 inches above the ground.
Well, I think that covers it. Thanks for joining us today. And thanks to Steve Marisi and the Atwood team for providing you with all the information you need to correctly load and unload your new truck camper. To close, we'd like to leave you with a few important reminders.
The first and most important reminder is to always ensure that the front of the camper is 4 inches higher than the rear to keep the camper from tipping. Second, it's always a good idea to visually inspect each jack a week or so prior to your camping trip. Make sure the jack assembly and mounting brackets are not damaged and that the bolts and lag screws are securely fastened to the camper, bracket, and jacks. Operate the jacks and listen for any unusual noises. And finally, don't forget to charge your battery and to check the tire pressure before your trip. These are very important to ensure a problem-free camping experience.
Seeing the country in an RV can be one of the most enjoyable activities that you and your family can do together. It's fun, it's scenic, and the memories will last a lifetime. From all of us at Atwood, we wish you the best on the road to the great outdoors.